Hello there. Welcome to this edition of ICAN on Air Professional and Public Enlightenment Series. Today, we examine information security in organizations, gaining an understanding by professional accountants. Information is one of the most important organization's assets. For an organization, information is valuable and should be appropriately protected. Security is to combine systems, operations, and internal controls to ensure integrity and confidentiality of data and operation procedures in an organization. Of course, information security started around 1980 when the use of computers has concentrated on computer centers, where implementation and implementative aspects of a computer security focus is in securing the physical computing infrastructure that is making the environment and the organization effective. Joining me as a guest in a question and answer segment of our program today, especially to get our professional accountants, our friends of the profession, and business enthusiasts to gain good understanding of this subject is Dr. Abayomi Bakare, Head of Digital Adaptation Unit of the National Information Technological Development Agency. He is a specialist in areas such as information stroke cybersecurity, information security auditing, cloud computing, business process networking, enterprise application management, Linux administration, and of course, IT governance, systems analysis and design. Dr. Abayomi Bakare holds a doctorate degree in IT and a master's in IT and another master's in IT and business management. More to unveil on our esteemed guests very shortly. Also, on this segment of our program, we will be letting you into a few of our programs in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I dare say the foremost disciplined institute. Few adverts. We'd like you to stay connected. And we will be back with you to go full blast very shortly.
Are you ready for exponential results this year? Do you desire and seek to build economic value and wealth on a consistent basis? We're proud to introduce to you the 4th ICAN Malaysia International Conferences. The theme is Building Economic Resilience, Navigating Turbulent Times Through Digital Transformation. This year's conference has been put together to empower and equip participants with the needed shift for personal, professional and institutional transformation. The conference dates, the 16th to the 19th of May 2022. Venue, Adia Hotel Langkawi, Kedah, Malaysia. For further inquiries please send a mail to chairman@ican-malaysia.org or info@ican-malaysia.org. You can also visit our website https://ican-malaysia.org to register for the conference now. You can also reach out to us through the following contact numbers currently being displayed on the screen. +60 1632066413, +62 8121572358, 60,176,197,280, +234 8033502768, +234 8067908190. We look forward to your registration and participation at the conference. If you're ready to start your registration and payment process, please contact one of our friendly coordinators or simply visit the website to complete your registration. The website is https://ican-malaysia.org. Thank you. We're looking forward to seeing and connecting with you in Malaysia.
You are welcome back. And please join me to welcome Dr. Abayomi Bakare to ICAN on Air program. Dr. Bakare, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akin Fatunke. I hope I pronounced your surname very well, because
You
that's
have,
one of the very rare Yoruba names that I know.
I tell you, you have secured the name, encrypted it, and you have delivered it perfectly. In ICAN, that is what we do. You're on track, brother.
I'm happy to hear that. And
Thank you
also
very much.
to our listening as in participants, a very good evening to you.
Saying good evening. You can't hear them, but I can tell you they are saying good evening to you and looking forward to
Okay,
this.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Now, I wanted us to schematically put this in context. And putting things in context makes people really understand. We don't want to assume, we don't want to assume that we understand definition of terms. It helps us set a tone for this discourse. And so I will ask you, in looking at information security in organizations and gaining an understanding by us professional accountants and all business minded, can you define to us what is information security?
Thank you very much, Mr. Akin, for that wonderful and fundamental question. But before I respond to that, I want to congratulate ICAN on Air for this wonderful initiative. I think what you guys are doing is highly commendable, and it will help create a necessary awareness and sensitization on different, trending topics for the benefits of all ICAN members. Many associations rarely have a platform, like this. So what you guys are doing is rare, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure it's going to be, of great benefit, to ICAN members. So now that I have that out of the way, I think I'll go ahead and try to define information security, okay, in a layman's or from a layman's perspective. But I believe that for us to understand information security, it is important, for us to understand what security itself, means. Security, is simply defined as a state of being free from danger or threats or harm. That is a state of being safe. We try as much as possible, to protect ourselves from danger. We try as much as possible to protect our children, our family, from danger. This is what security is all about. I know that we are all aware of the incident at the Kaduna rail station, where bandits actually, try to, in fact, let me not say try to harm, attempted, to rob passengers on the train. These people, at least as at the last report that I got, about 7 people were actually killed in this incident. But if security was properly provided, then the safety of those passengers would have not been in jeopardy. So I'm just using that example, to put a perspective to what security is all about. So in the same vein, information security can be defined as the state of your information being free from danger or threat or harm. I hope we can see the difference here. It's still the same definition, but the former focuses on individual, while the latter focuses on what? On information.
Excellent. Thank you very much for bringing it.
So technically, information security, protects sensitive information, from unauthorized activities or persons. It helps, ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information owned either by an individual or an organization. I know you mentioned this in your opening as a statement, and I was really very happy, which shows that our minds are intertwined. You mentioned those 3 elements. And when it comes to information security, those 3 elements are the core of information security. If you can preserve those three elements, then I can assure you that you will have effectively implemented information security. Furthermore, priority for information security is usually given to those information or data that is very critical, to the existence of an individual or organization. That is talking about, existential information. For example, we have things like organizational trade secrets, customer information, financial information, which I'm sure our accountants and auditors here will be very familiar with. Then staff information, confidential correspondence, within an organization. Mr. Akin, if I may ask you, which information do you think will support your existence?
Clearly, I will tell you that information that puts food on my table, clears the air as regards my going in and coming in, and securing Nigeria. Part of some of the things that, for instance, you have said just now, and I know our students are listening. Students who know, for instance, that information technology is hovering around, so practicable. So for food, for shelter, and of course, for seeing tomorrow beyond today. Those will be my management of change in terms of information security that is very important to me.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Yeah,
Thank
so,
you very much.
yes,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much. I therefore, in fact, I was going to quickly thank you, and I
Mm,
wanted to ask our students. A number of our students have reached out to me personally and privately that some of these high, big terminologies, by the time it is broken down, they're jotting a few of some of these things down. What is
yes.
security? What is information? How do you marry them? How do you mix them together? And so let me ask you, Mr. Dr. Bakari, excuse me, why is information security important?
Once again, Mr. Akin, thank you very much for that as in question. As in life, the why is always very important, before you engage in anything. If you can answer the why, then I can tell you that in life, you will have, the right direction in implementing whatever, you want to implement. The same applies to information security. So information security is very important, for organizations to continue to achieve set goals and objectives, of the organization. For an organization to exist and thrive, we expect that such organization should set goals and objectives. And in achieving these goals and objectives, there are many elements that need to be put in place. For example, vision, mission, core values, you talk about having strategy documents, policy documents, and the likes. But all these elements that I just mentioned now, they are subject or they are susceptible to risks. Those risks can affect these elements. And if these elements are affected, then the ability of an organization to achieve its goals and objectives, will be greatly impeded. So what am I trying to say? Information security helps organizations operate more efficiently and effectively. Because if you can address all these risks that can befall all these elements that I've talked about,
Mm,
I talked about vision, mission, core values, policy, documents, strategy, even the staff. If you
mm,
can address any risk that can affect these elements,
mm.
then you will have been able to increase the efficiency and also help the organization, to effectively achieve those goals and objectives. Additionally, it helps ensure that an organization maintains a good public image, and trust by customers. Take, for example, you are running a website, and these hackers go on your website and populate it with pornographic, contents. You can see that that will cause a great harm, in terms of the image of the organization. But if the right measures, information security measures are put into place, then such organization will have been able to successfully, prevent such an occurrence. Another example when it comes to image, is the inability to protect your customers' data. Take, for example, you're an insurance company or you're an accountant that manages sensitive customer data. And along the way, this data are found in public domains. When I say data, I'm talking about sensitive data, such as the financial information of your customers, their private address, family information, and all that. And your customers get to know. Definitely, it will affect, the image of such organization, and it may even affect the shares of such organization. So I'm just saying all this, to show you why it's really very important that information security is implemented, especially at an organizational level. Then additionally, information security helps ensure that risks that can affect all the information assets of the organization are identified, analyzed, and relevant measures are put into place so that these risks do not materialize and affect the information assets. The focus here is always on your information assets. These are just platforms or elements, that help you manage and process your information. For example, you have your computers, you have your email system, you have your website, customer data, staff database, internal memo, either on a computer or in paper form, your local area networks, your internet gateway, and even your staff. I'm sure you'll be surprised that I'm categorizing staff as an information asset. Okay, because as far as I'm concerned, a staff is like the greatest information asset of any organization.
You can say that again.
And as such, the necessary measures need to be put into place to ensure that the staff is not affected by risk, or the staff should not present, him or herself as a major source of information insecurity in that organization. I think I'll stop here on that question.
Awesome. Staff, manpower, woman power, bridging the gender gap. About one of the keyest, if I may use that terminology, one of the key aspects of assets in information technology. So you've given us the why. May we now then go to the what and ask this question: what should organizations consider when implementing information security?
Thank you very much, for that wonderful and very important question. When it comes to the what, I will say this: organizations, must first identify all information. I'll say it again: organizations must identify all information and information assets that are critical to the existence, competitiveness, and prosperity of the organization. That is the first thing any organization needs to do. So we need to identify that. Information, when jeopardized or accessed by unauthorized persons that can make the organization cease to exist, those are the information that need to be identified as the first. So once this is done, this information and information assets, remember, I'm talking about two things here. Information and information assets are further prioritized and documented. It's really very important. Additionally, an information security standard, such as the ISO 27001, it's an international standard, should be identified and adopted for the organization. It's very important if you're implementing information security. You don't just implement information security blindly. You must follow a particular standard. There are so many standards out there, but the most popular standard is the ISO 27001. ISO stands for International Organization for Standardization. They have so many standards, to guide the activities of industry. So one of them is the ISO 27001, which focuses mainly on information security. So these standards, usually contain information security gaps to look out for and corresponding measures to close such gaps. So an organization may decide to self-implement the standard or get a certified information security auditor and implementer, to implement, the standard. So furthermore, an organization must create an information security policy. This is really very important. You can't implement, even with the standard, you need a policy that will be co-created, amongst, as in the staff, at different level of the organization. So this must be created and also communicated. That is also very important. It's not enough for you to just have a policy and you just keep it, somewhere, with dust covering it. It has to be communicated so that everybody is on the same page as to what, the information security requirement of the organization is, and also the information security responsibility of all staff. So this is very important. Then lastly, I'm taking my time, to pick all this one by one. These are the most critical elements that need to be, needs to be considered. So finally, all staff must be trained on information security in order to ensure that, they do not become a weak link, in the information security as in chain. The unfortunate thing is that when it comes to information security, we humans, from an organizational context, staff are the weakest link. Or should I say it like this? An untrained staff in information security is the weakest link in any information security as in setup. I think, okay, so let me add one more. Aside from all that, organizations must continuously monitor and evaluate the information security practices, for continual improvement. I think those are one of the things. Then, okay, finally, because this thing, just keeps popping up in my head. Finally, which I even believe I should have started with, it is extremely important that the buy-in of the executive and top management is secured in order to ensure sustainability of information security. In fact, the last point should be considered as the first, because without the executive support or top management, you cannot even implement information security. Talk less of trying to sustain it. Thank you very much.
Super. So the why, the what, you're already touching on the how. But let me accentuate it. How does an organization ensure the effectiveness of its information security? Effectiveness now. How?
Okay, so thank you for that question. Before I answer that, I think we need to emphasize on effectiveness. What do we mean by effectiveness? Effectiveness, in this context, actually means the ability of something to do what is expected of that thing. I hope I'm able to break it down. That is what effectiveness means in this stage. So relating this to information security, what we are trying to say here is that, fine, you've implemented information security, you've put in all what is required, but how do you ensure that the information security practice within an organization is delivering according to the set goals and objectives, of that, information security? So, in order to ensure effectiveness, organizations must set up what is called, let me try and remember, Information Security Management System team, or aka ISMS. So you can come as a team, a unit, department, depending on how the organization wants to set it up. But what is important is that there must be a unit set up for that purpose. So this entity will serve as a governance and management body, just like you have corporate as in governance. So you need a governance body for information security. So the body will contain information security auditors, information security implementers. You have risk managers. You have cybersecurity managers. And most importantly, you have what is called information security compliance officers that will go around the organization at random to ensure compliance to the organization's information security and standard. So this structure is really very, very important, to ensure that what the organization has intended to do, the amount the organization has spent on an information security as a project, is actually delivering according to set goals and objectives. Thank you, Mr. Ake.
Fantastic. And quickly, can information security be applied to personal life?
Oh, yes, of course. In the beginning, I started by going through security. Security can be applied at an individual level, and also at an organizational level. So yes, you as an individual can also identify all those information that are critical to your existence, safety and success in life, and put in measures to ensure that unauthorized persons or other entities do not have access to it. For example, I asked you during the earlier period of this event of what you consider as personal information that can support your existence.
Correct.
And I can give you many examples. Your BVN, for example, is a very important personal information. Your online banking password. I can imagine how you feel, Mr. King, if somebody has access to your online banking password, because that is where the millions that may support your existence, lie. So you can imagine how catastrophic, that can be if somebody has access to it. So additionally, you have email passwords, your house address, your personal financial information, location information. All these things, should be protected from unauthorized, access.
And you must continue to say that again.
Yes. Additionally, your personal information assets, such as your mobile phones, your computers, checkbooks, journals, should be protected, from unauthorized as in persons. So yes, this can be applied to personal life. But what is important is that an individual at one point or the other should be exposed, to information security literacy. Thank you.
I say that again. I underline it. Information security on a personal level. You are at the airport and you take your phone and say, "Oh, I'll be arriving in London. I'll be arriving Abuja in
Definitely.
2-3 minutes time."
Definitely.
In this day and age, somebody might just be waiting for you there.
Exactly.
So
Yes,
all
exactly.
the wise words applies individually. Now I must come back to my professional colleagues and ask this question. Must accountants and auditors be IT savvy to observe and implement information security?
No, 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 no. As a not at all. Not at all. You don't have to be IT savvy to do that. When it comes to information security, the core is actually risk management. That is the core of any information security. And that is your ability as an individual or organization to recognize all risks that can affect your information and information assets, and putting in the right measures to either eliminate, avoid or mitigate the risk. So you don't really need to be IT savvy, although it is an added advantage, okay, but it's not really as necessary. So you must be trained on risk management and information security. Let me give you an example. In my office, we have financial auditors, we have accountants that are actually certified as information security auditors and implementers, and they are doing very well. And I can tell you, their first degree, second degree was not in IT, and they are certified right now as an information security auditors and implementers.
Fantastic. Nice to know. And are there global standards for implementing information security?
Good question. I mentioned earlier that an organization should not implement information security blindly. Rather, it is advisable that standards are followed. There are different standards. There are international standards, there are national standards. Of course, when I say national standards, I'm referring to American national standard, because most of these information security standards actually come from the US. And you also have industry as in standards. For example, when you talk about international standards, like I mentioned earlier, the ISO 27001 is the most popular standard, which contains about 10 clauses and about 144 controls or measures for the successful implementation of information security. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, that is the most popular and is relevant to all organization, regardless of the sector that organization exists. So we also have others, like I mentioned, the American National Type. Examples are like the NIST or NIST or National Institute of Standards and Technology. We also have the FIPS or the FIPS. FIPS stands for Federal Information Processing Standard. It's also an American National Information Security Standard. Then talking about the industry level, you have the PCI DSS. That stands for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. So payment card industry data security standards are usually expected, to be implemented by, say, for example, banks, for example, organizations, that operate payment gateway, or the likes of MasterCard, Visa card, and the likes.
Hmm. Hmm.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Talking about global, talking about standards, talking about our chalking up. I'm talking about Nigeria in fintech, some of the gains we've had. When Mark Zuckerberg came to Nigeria, the Facebook star, he looks at the landscape of Nigeria and said, "This is a potential waiting to be tamed." I wanted to ask you, when you look at Nigeria, perhaps versus South Africa, or perhaps Egypt, and now we are talking about Rwanda, how do you rank us? How do you think we place? Are we work in progress? Are we at the top tier? Or are there one or two things you could just tell us to see how we could fill whatever gaps there might be now, Nigeria versus others in the sub-Saharan Africa?
Okay, thank you for that question. And I think this is a very important as a question. How do we rank when compared with other countries in Africa, such as South Africa and the likes? This is what I have to say to this. I believe, we have one of the most potent, pool of IT personnel in Nigeria. You mentioned the fintech. We have lots of successes, to be reported in the fintech, sector within the country. In fact, I can tell you this for free. At about 2020, we had unicorns. And what do I mean by unicorns? Unicorns are those startups that were actually able, to reach a capital base of about $1 billion. So for us to reach that, or for us to have 6 startups, to reach that within the fintech sector in 2020 shows that, we have what it takes. And aside from those within the fintech as a sector, other organizations too, we have lots and lots of Nigerian professionals that are doing very well in the IT sphere. Case in point, there is this outsourcing as a platform. It's called Fiverr.com. I can tell you for free that we have tons and tons of Nigerians offering IT services, and they are making foreign, foreign exchange. They are making hard currency on a daily basis without the knowledge of the government. So we have most of these guys as in there, scattered within the country. Another example, due to the nature of my job, I do information security auditing. I also do, capacity development and all that. So I've been opportune to go to various schools, various areas, unserved and underserved areas within the country. And I'm surprised at the level of IT expertise that we have within the country. However, our problem still remains lack of government, coordination. We have all this pool of IT experts, scattered within different sectors, within different areas of the country. But the government is not really putting in deliberate efforts, to ensure that all these activities, are coordinated, they are harnessed so that we can create another sector that can serve as a source of foreign exchange earning for the country. NIDA is doing a lot in that, I'm not saying that because I work for NIDA. We've done a lot, but it's not only for NIDA, okay, to help accomplish this. We also need other government, organs, to come together to ensure that we harness, the potentials or kinetics. I won't say potential again because most of these guys, they are making so much money for themselves and even for the country indirectly. It's just to harness their output so that we cannot create some sort of platform where we can diversify our sources of foreign exchange earning, as it works. Thank you.
Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. If you are just joining us, you are on ICAN on Air, looking at the very special topic, information security in organizations, gaining an understanding by professional accountants. If you have questions, please tie them on, bring them in. We are going to be going on a very short break. And when we come back, I just say to our online listeners, please stay put more to field on to our erudite Dr. Ayodele Bakare when we come back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you ready for exponential results this year? Do you desire and seek to build economic value and wealth on a consistent basis? We're proud to introduce to you the 4th ICAN Malaysia International Conferences. The theme is Building Economic Resilience, Navigating Turbulent Times Through Digital Transformation. This year's conference has been put together to empower and equip participants with the needed shift for personal, professional and institutional transformation. The conference dates, the 16th to the 19th of May 2022. Venue, Adia Hotel Langkawi, Kedah, Malaysia. For further inquiries please send a mail to chairman@ican-malaysia.org or info@ican-malaysia.org. You can also visit our website https://ican-malaysia.org to register for the conference now. You can also reach out to us through the following contact numbers currently being displayed on the screen. +60 1632064113, +62 8121572350, 60,176,197,280, +234 8033502768, +234 8067908190. We look forward to your registration and participation at the conference. If you're ready to start your registration and payment process, please contact one of our friendly coordinators or simply visit the website to complete your registration. The website is https://ican-malaysia.org. Thank you. We're looking forward to seeing and connecting with you in Malaysia.
Thank you for staying put. Just join again. This is ICAN on Air, where we have been fielding questions to Dr. Ayodele Bakare on information technology, its importance, getting an understanding by fellow accountants. Please send your questions and contribute so our guests can respond to them. Now, back on the top. Dr. Adele, is there a difference between information security and cyber security?
Okay, thank you. Hope you can all hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear
Okay,
you.
great. Yes, that's a wonderful question. Although experts, they loosely use both terms interchangeably. However, there is a difference, between information security and cyber security. While information security is, how will I put it, it's overarching in terms of security in all aspects. That is talking about security online and offline. Cybersecurity is focused more on security issues on the cyberspace or the internet. So you can think of cybersecurity as a subset, of information security. Thank you.
Hmm, beautiful. Thank you for putting that across. But do you think that cybersecurity related incidents will reduce in the future?
No. I don't think so. In fact, we will experience a significant increase in
Wow.
cyber related attacks and breaches in
Wow.
the future.
Wow.
And this is because more and more activities are being migrated, to the cyberspace or the internet, and this presents a vital ground, for hackers, cyber fraudsters, aka our Yahoo boys, malware, cyber terrorism, and the likes, to operate. Because virtually
Beautiful.
every aspect of our lives, is on the internet, from banking. I'm sure you have transferred some money today, using the internet, from communicating, from collaborating, from shopping. We all shop on Konga, we shop on, Jumia and all that, from tax payment to watching movies, you know. Nowadays, we don't go to the cinemas again. We watch
Hmm.
movies, on streaming companies,
Netflix.
like as Netflix, to payment of utility bills. And this
Hmm.
increases our vulnerability, to cyber attacks. And that is why, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's important for, all of us to constantly update ourselves, on current information security or cybersecurity trends. It's really, really very important because really, I can tell you, we will continue to have more and more as an attacks. Why? Because we are playing more on the cyberspace. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for accentuating that. And as we race towards the end, I like to take you back again by way of looking at the what, the how, the why, and ask you what is the most important element when implementing information security in an organization? The most important.
Okay, well, while there is no singular important element when implementing information security in an organization, there are some elements that are very, very important. And I repeat this again. There is no singular one that is important, but there are some that are really very important, at an organizational level.
Hmm,
These elements, for example, include leadership. I mentioned this earlier
hmm,
that in implementing information security, you need a buy-in of the executive or top as a management. It's really, really, really very important. Okay, because they'll be responsible for the funding, they'll be responsible for giving the go ahead, they'll be responsible for supporting and encouraging other staff to ensure that they participate in the information security exercise. Secondly, funding. You can have the executive as in buying, but without funding, you cannot do anything. And when it comes to information security management at a corporate level, okay, I'll say this in black and white. You need funding.
hmm,
You need funding to ensure that you train your staff. You need funding to ensure that you get consultants to help you with the implementation. So funding is really, really very important.
hmm,
Then additionally, policies, and standard. We talked about ensuring that you follow a particular standard, information security standard. So that is
hmm,
also very important. You can't implement information security in a blind manner. It's very imperative that you follow a particular standard. And I personally, I recommend the ISO 27001. Then aside from standard, I mentioned policy too, particularly an information security policy. This is just a policy that shows the information security requirements of the organization and the information security responsibilities of the staff within that organization. So the policy is very, very important. And last
Super.
but not least, staff training is very, very, very important. It's not for you to have all the policies, all the technical controls, administrative controls in place without training your staff. Because if you don't train your staff, you are leaving a huge gap, for information insecurity to occur, and not only occur, but persist in your organization. So for me, I think those are although it's not an exhaustive list, but I think in my experience, those are some of the most important elements, to be considered when implementing information security at an organizational level.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ayodele. In fact, it's been wonderful. You filled in this to us. As usual, time usually not our friend. And as we draw this to a close, may we have your last word on this subject?
Oh, okay. First off, I want to thank you once again for inviting me, for this, as a broadcast. I feel honored, and I am most appreciative as in for that. And also as in to you, Mr. Aki, I must say that you are a very wonderful host. I love the way you've coordinated the whole session, seamlessly. So I think it's highly commendable, and I congratulate you. And I pray
Thank
that
you.
God will continue to give you that strength, to continue to impute or provide more innovation, into this as in program. So, having said all that, I will say this: as accountants, we deal a lot with very sensitive financial information, either for organizations or clients, and it is very important to implement measures, to secure this information and other related information, from unauthorized persons. Regular or traditional measures, because I know that, yes, some of us, we use all these traditional measures, to try to protect, this information. But I can tell you that regular or traditional measures may not provide adequate security for this information. Rather, accountants, auditors should learn and implement tested standard information security measures, to protect their information. And I can tell you that as we do this, we will continue to earn the trusts of our clients and continuously also help our organizations to meet set goals and objectives. Thank you very much once again.
Boss, thank you. And Dele, rest assured, we are going to call on you more and more to come and share uh, your knowledge, especially with our students, especially with our key professionals, who I am very sure have benefited in no in immense proportions from your presentation. And to our online participants, thanks for the encouragement, for all what you have given, taking some of those, and has been taken. I appreciate my editorial team, Mr. Shimon Derinde, chairman of our editorial board, and all members of our editorial team, put together by that iconic president of ours, Mrs. Comfort Ulu Tayo, MNI, FCA. We will continue as we have religiously continued to give ICAN on air 2 times a week. Our next episode is going to be on Thursday, March 31st, 2022 at 6 p.m. West African time. The venue will be all ICAN social media platforms. You want to tell somebody else to come join you so we can all share knowledge, which is power that we need to power Nigeria on to the next level. And the topic we are going to be looking at is positioning professional accountants within dynamics of national security in Nigeria. Positioning professional accountants within the dynamics of national security in Nigeria. And we'll be having guesting Umar Captain Blade Babangida Aliyu. Umar Captain Blade Babangida Aliyu is an ex-army officer of the Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps of the Directorate of Military Intelligence, DMI. Post-military service year, Umar has worked and held security job roles and designations, both operational and managerial, within a number of corporate entities in the country. He's also a security analyst with an array of media brand houses in Nigeria, both print and visual. He's a director on the board of Guard Edge. You do not want to miss this for anything. Please, I'd like you to tap it. And in signing out, please let me end with this quotation. Passwords are like underwear. Don't let people see it. Change it very often, and you shouldn't share it with strangers. Passwords are like underwear. Don't let people see it. Change it very often, and you shouldn't share it with strangers. End of quote. And that is attributable to Chris Pirillo. And so the sun sets on our ICAN on Air program for today to rise again on March 31st, 2022, as announced. We are going to be looking at this episode that I've just announced. You be the change you like to see. And I remain Akin Fatunke, your host on ICAN on Air. Bye for now.